Thanks to the panelists sitting here with me, Haro Cumbusyan, Marek Claassen, and Basim Magdy, respectively, collectorspace in Istanbul, founder of ArtFacts, and of course, well-recognized young artist. We are here to talk about video collection evolution. That's quite something. Talking about the evolution of video collecting means talking about the present. Video and film has a very, very short history compared to more traditional media, and pioneers collectors should be treated as high, respected and considered visionary people, inspiring people. Collecting moving image, just two data, has such a short history that it's striking to think that leading institutions like MoMA only built the advisory committee in 1975. And they bought the very first piece in 1975. It was Global Grove by Namjoon Paik, and they paid an enormous sum of $250. And it was an unlimited piece, by the way. Defining the model has been always the tricky thing, no? And this is what we are here for. At that time, 1975, Feldman Gallery launched Chris Barden limited edition at $10,000. And at the same time, Leo Castelli and Castelli Sonnabend Tapes and Films were promoting their video artist or their artists working on video with unlimited editions. Since then, this has been the eternal discussion, I would say. Artists went from using tools and machines that they were expensive and kind of difficult to work to an absolute democratization of the media. And for that reason, video also went from the side part of the scene to a very center point. When reading Barbara London's Buying Time, one realizes the speed and the difficulties to deal with this media. She defines herself as an archaeologist digging in her own time, which I love it, by the way. And she certainly was, as many of the pioneer collectors. Of course, the Greensteins, Pamela and Richard Kramlich in San Francisco, Ilve Goetz in Munich, Julia Stochkev, and many of other visionary people. So, I would like to ask you, Basim, while taking into account your significant visibility and recognition lately, especially since you won the Deutsche Bank Prize and in 2016, the Nine Vision Award, the Albright Prize in Dubai, and you're going to be having this wonderful show at the Jeu de Paume, among many other recognitions lately. So congratulations for that. I would like to ask you to take a step back and try to recall what was your first video piece selling. How was it? Was it difficult for you to sell that piece? Was it a difficult transaction? What did you actually deliver? Can you say something about the market back then? I know it's not too far away in time, but it probably will give us a room to think.
Well, I studied painting, so I started painting, and at some point I wanted the paintings to somehow move, so I made an animation, and that was actually the first piece that I sold that was moving image. And it was, I can't remember when it was, maybe 2004, 2005. And I really can't remember how. I think it was maybe it was a beta tape and a DVD as an exhibition copy, because it was an animation on DVD. But then I kind of stopped, and then I started working with film, with Super 8 film and 16 millimeter film. And from the beginning, it became obvious to me that this has to be presented as a video. I wanted to shoot it on film because I wanted to have certain aesthetical qualities of film, certain things that I can do on film, on the film itself as a tangible material that they can alter and I can cut. I also really like the colors, the grain, but at the same time, I wasn't very prejudiced about film as a medium. I thought it was really important to think about how things will be presented. You know, if I present it as a full HD video, then I can control the size of the projection. I can control the quality of sound. I can also, it becomes more democratic in the sense that, you know, when you go outside Europe and North America, it becomes more and more difficult to find a Super 8 or 16 millimeter projector that is, you know, functioning and won't ruin your film. So I didn't want to limit my work to be seen in particular places just because they have the money and the resources to be able to show them. And that's, you know, that's when I started working with digital files more and knowing more about them and then getting, I mean, I started working with film a lot more, so I make a lot of films. I've been making a lot of films for the last maybe 6 or 7 years. So it's become something that I deal with regularly. And I was fortunate enough to sell some of them. So it's now, of course, it's completely different because the digital media, I mean, I would never even think for a second to give a collector something on a DVD now. But yeah, times change and your thinking has to change with it.
So first piece was given and delivered as a tape, probably signed, probably with a certificate.
Through the gallery. The gallery made the beta tape. I didn't really know much about this. There was a certificate, authenticity certificate.
It was still this precious admiration of the fact, not the artifact as well, no? In a way.
It was new for me, so I didn't really know what to think of it. Because I wasn't also, I didn't consider myself as an artist who makes videos. The first piece, and the whole thing was new. I remember I talked to my gallerist, I was like, how do we do this? I have no idea. And then they introduced me to the whole concept of editions and that it should be editioned and yeah.
Wonderful. Haro, can I ask you the same? What did you...
It's quite similar to what Basim was saying. I think a lot of people didn't know what to sell. The galleries didn't know what to deliver in a way. But I have few signed DVDs, as you mentioned. Fortunately, not too many. Most of them come with a beta tape or some original file. But it was all over the place. We were kind of quite specific that we wanted to collect moving image. And we approached artists and galleries who were more invested into this field or seemed like that. So they were a little bit maybe more ahead of the curve. So in that sense, we were lucky. And by the time we were collecting, the institutions were certainly collecting. So we were always looking to the institutions to lead the way to set the standards. And I had no doubt that those standards would be set because the moving image was such a fertile area for artists to experiment and create new works. I have to say that it has taken a long time, but I think we are getting there.
Absolutely. Marek, and you from your platform, did you...
Can I have the same? Can I answer the same question?
Absolutely.
Because even if it doesn't look like, I bought my first video piece in the 90s. Yeah, and back then I remember thinking about if I should buy a video piece and what kind of video piece I should buy. And I was very much interested in Fluxus, what is, I think, one of the inventing, like Forstel, Namjoon Paik, they are the forerunners of this whole movement. And this is a real video, right? They had the Sony cameras and VHS. And I then thought to myself, what happens if I can't see the video anymore, right? Because it's a constant loop. Then the video has to function also as a sculpture. So I was interested in Namjoon Paik, but couldn't afford it, and I bought then at Gallery Forstel Constantino Cervo, an Italian artist, an installation work with screens in it and a video attached to it. And it really happens, what happened is that the artwork mostly is switched off, to be honest, right? So it's in my in my office now, and we transferred the VHS to a digital machine, digital player, but it works as an aesthetic object without the film. And from time to time, mostly when we have visitors, I switch it on, yeah, to show the video attached to this sculpture. And back then, I only got, I think I got an invoice from the gallery, that's it. So I don't really know, in the course of this discussion, we will see that I'm completely unprotected.
When we when we started acquiring moving image works, one of the things that the galleries were doing was to put them into a package so that it would be easier to sell and easier for collectors to own. And our thinking was that we definitely didn't want that. We wanted just to have the source material, because however sleek the screen looks now, in 3 years, for sure that will be the center of attention. It will look from a different era. So we always tried to get the tapes rather than the equipment. It's strange that now I spend most of my time hunting down equipment to be able to show the older format works, and it has become almost my daily hunt. To go over the eBay or other markets to find those old screens and old projectors.
Yeah, that's a problem. For sure, it's a problem. Many museums are having this problem, and they are buying stocks of old TVs and so on. But it's nice that we are all clear that within very short time we accepted passing from probably something needed to be considered at that time, which is like the object where you were buying the piece. Sometimes was with a sculpture, sometimes just was with the case or the presentation of the artist that was very beautifully presented. And I think slowly we evolve to a new reality where we all realize that the important thing, of course, is the film that is behind it. And there is no discussion, or not so much discussion anymore about transfer the data like it was just a couple of years ago. It was an issue. Now everyone understands you have to be able to transfer the data to new systems. So somehow, probably the market has grown up a little bit and we are more concerned. What would you, for example, Haro, what would you ask right now if you were going to buy something going out of this room and getting into the fair and you are going to buy one piece? What will be your dream of getting from the gallery and from the artist?
Well, when we think about digital artworks, where the copy is as good as the original, there are some concerns that enter one's mind. So I think ownership issues have to be dealt with. And in my mind, now owning an artwork involves some rights management. So I would like the work to be accompanied with a contract that tells me what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not, and how am I supposed to show the work, and where can I show the work without any restraints. I know that there is work on standardizing those contracts, but still not adopted by everyone. It would certainly help the industry quite a bit if every collector gets the same type of rights or knows what they are buying and what they are entitled to, and there is no disconnect between what the artist thinks they are selling and what the collector thinks what they are getting. But in general, I expect to have a contract that comes with the a certificate of authenticity.
Probably I will ask you a little later to explain us a little bit how you see the three types of collectors or people engaged. Let me ask first Basim if he has seen some sort of change in the collectors that are acquiring your pieces. If you have seen some of them moving.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a change, because I've been maybe selling my films maybe for the last 3 years, regularly, like apart from that one earlier incident. But I think that different collectors do it differently or have different expectations. So a museum would think about collecting in a different way. You would have to fill out a lot of technical forms that would make sure that the museum can preserve the work in the future, and also if the media changes, if the technology changes, that they know how to preserve it and make sure it lasts for as long as possible. Also because they have the resources and they have the technical team to come up with these ideas and to come up with these questions that need to be answered. It's really about the different expectations. People have different expectations. People have different understandings of things. So that also, I think, applies to collectors and to artists. Sometimes collectors kind of expect just certificates. Sometimes they ask for instructions for installing the work, for very specific instructions about what kind of equipment that should be used. And sometimes this comes later when they think like, let's not cross that bridge until we get to it. And then when they want to show the work, sometimes their expectations are a bit outdated, so they would maybe ask for a beta tape, and then I would have to explain that this is, we've passed this point, and now there's actually better ways to preserve the work. Again, I think it's all about expectations, and there has to be some sort of a discussion, even if it's a discussion between the artist and the collector directly, that's maybe mediated by the gallery that's selling the work, because the artist knows the most about the work. The collector knows what he or she expects from the work. So this discussion would be helpful to kind of help everybody understand what can be done, what's doable and what's not doable at this point in time. So the agreement that Haro was talking about is a very good idea, but I think, like any agreement, you need to discuss and agree on things. And manage, like expectations need to be managed based on, the collector has rights as the owner of the work, as someone who paid money to get the work, and also the artist has, the creative right, the fact that they want their work to exist in a certain way that doesn't kind of change its original intentions.
Maybe I can ask the technicians to put up this slide, what I've prepared. I just want to correspond directly to Basim, what he just said, because, and about standardized contract, what Haro was talking about, because we have to see that video is playing a tremendously important role in the process of communicating artistic content. And if this slide comes up in a minute, you will see that nearly all of the exhibitions are compounded with at least some kind of video attached to it. So it's not only, in my point of view, a question between an artist and one collector. And here you can see this. So this is a chart that shows, by example, 3 different artists groups that focus on painting, photography, and video. And it's a logarithmic scale. It goes from the Salon de Refus up to now. And you can see that nearly every exhibition now is equipped with video. And you can see the rise of the amount of video artists exhibiting since the late 70s is tremendously was tremendously catching up, and it is now one of the established ways of communicating art, and maybe it will be the leading form of communicating art, especially in a digital form. So this doesn't only have to be video, this can be all sorts of digitalized art. So we're talking here about a process, in my point of view, from a collectible item, what the painting is, to collecting an idea, and on the scale of the thousands and hundreds of thousands. This is what I just wanted to put in when we speak about mutually agreed contract on each sale, right?
This, I brought some figures regarding this that I just did in the last couple of days, because we all agree that the evolution demands a huge speed. I mean, it's happening so fast. So I wanted to have some figures, and I called some museum directors to find out what was the reality and how it changed from this special treatment of video that even didn't have even their own department in the museums to a new reality, you know. And just to give another slide, Reina Sofia, that it's led by Manolo Borja, of course, and who conceives the film as center part of the discussion of the 20th century. He's not only putting video, but he's putting also cinema in the exhibitions of the Reina Sofia. You cannot understand 20th century without moving image as a whole, no? So I spoke to Cristina Cámara, and she confirms some data, no? In 2004, Reina Sofia had 34 pieces in the collection. 2006, 110. 2016, 560. Not to say that the increase of works from other media were not in the same scale, unfortunately. I mean, it's clear that this is a focus on interest. Magda, for example, also has a 9% of the collection, which is much smaller museum. It's much more humble budget, if you can say. Has 9% of the budget of the collection, but to illustrate this, 20% of the pieces shown today in the 3 shows that they have at the moment, 20% are video. So I remember those days that when shows were, you know, artifacts and videos was contextualizing the time. Those are over. Now video, of course, is taking this.
It's great to hear these figures and to see the chart. I also try to have some facts to base these discussions on. I mean, this year, the winners of the Valois Prize, they are both video artists. And you know, Art Basel does a very good job, you know, showing video works, but there are certainly more of the other types of the traditional artworks to choose from. So it tells you something that the video works were chosen. Last year again, Beatrice Gipson won with a video. We had a book come up during this fair, published by Moose Publication, and in my slides maybe we can find the image of the book. Oh, you have the actual book. Yes, this is the white version. There's also a black one. I'll get to what you were asking a moment ago. About the different types of collectors, but here I had a contribution that was titled, I think, Psychoanalyzing Collectors, and I'm not a psychologist and have no qualification in that field, but I run a small institution that focuses on collecting, and we get to meet a lot of collectors. One of the main concerns that I have is with video, because you know, I do think that there is a lot of the interesting works that artists produce are in this medium or in performance or more ephemeral work that is not in the traditional realm of collecting, that artists may have to choose more sellable media to make a living, so that they can also do the artworks that they really want to create. Because the reality is that if we look at the market, there seems to be some failure there in terms of the prices, at least. I don't know if this is universally agreed, but there are very few video works that come up for auction because people think that those are not sellable. And when you look at the estimates of those works, they are really, really low, with great exhibition histories. If a painting with that kind of exhibition history would come up, it would be in the millions, whereas the videos sell for tens of thousands.
What reason would you explain it? How would you explain it?
Because many major collectors have still some concerns about the collectability of video works. That could be, basically I think about the two sides. Either there is a failure on the video art side, there's something in the properties of video art that doesn't work, or there's a failure on the collector side. There's something that is not working in terms of adapting this new medium. And that's where the psychoanalysis comes from. I'd heard another collector actually talk about different types of collectors. He was French-speaking, and he was mentioning the amateur in the French sense of the word, which is someone who is really passionate about something, the investisseur, who is basically more involved with the money side, and the decorateur, who is basically looking for artworks to make the home prettier. And based on that, now I think about the motivations of the collectors in three dimensions. One is the intellectual curiosity that drives the collector. The other one is the financial concerns, that it doesn't have to be speculative. It can be just, people want the money that they spend on an asset to hold its value. And the third one would be what I call the vanity factor, in the best sense of the word, but that collectors want to have something extra from owning an artwork. And I think we need to understand what motivates the collector to address the issues that we are facing in this video art market. Why people are having difficulty in this medium. I believe that the collectors who are motivated with the vanity factor, and this is not 100% one way and 0% the other way, but everybody has a little bit of each motivation. I certainly do. It could be easier to move collectors to the producer role if we actually understand what those motivations are and which groups are really motivated with one. So that was why I wrote that text, and I can continue, but I don't want to.
No, what do you think about this profile of collectors becoming more partners in the process of an artist, like friend and partner?
I personally never had this experience. Most of the films I made were commissioned by institutions or prizes, and in the beginning I was just making my films, and hoping that I will make money somehow. But yes, I think diversity is important. Diversity in anything is good, and if we find different ways to finance the production of films or videos by artists, this would be great. But I think it's also important to have an understanding of how this would work. So if I'm getting money from an institution to make a film that will then be in a show, they want me to make sure that in every possible way, it's always mentioned that this was commissioned by this institution. Obviously, a collector would expect to have something else in return. So I think, maybe there is a need to standardize how this works, or maybe to have different versions of how it could work, and then, based again on the agreement between the collector and the artist, we kind of choose what fits best for this particular situation. And I think it's great. It's great for a collector to believe in an artist's work that much, to produce a film, but also, and I understand all the different kind of curators that Haro was talking about, but there's a very important thing about collectors. There's a very important thing about collectors is that if you do something like this, you're promoting the creation of something creative that will communicate something to people, that will give people some sort of pleasure, that will contribute to a lot of things around us. So it's also more like a creation of knowledge, creation of creativity, which I think is very important. It's a very, also like for a collector to feel that they are actually helping create something like this.
Is that enough?
No, I'm not saying it's enough. I'm saying it's another added factor.
Well, at Collector Space, we work with different types of collectors. And of course, we select them, so we think that they are amazing. But now that we have had sort of an archive of different collecting styles, we sometimes go back and try to see patterns. Of course, now we also know the collectors personally. And in the videos that we have shot with them and in the conversations that we have had, one thing that comes up, or maybe I notice it because I've become more sensitized to it, is that what they are more interested in seems to be not the object, but the relationship with the artist that they have had. Over the process of either producing a work, commissioning a work, or just acquiring the work, but somehow hosting the artist in their homes. And maybe I'm thinking that collectors, at least the ones that are motivated by that intellectual curiosity or intellectual pursuit, during those conversations with the artist, that relationship with the artist, they get to see what is going on in their head and why they are creating those works and how they are doing it, which is maybe more direct than trying to read those motivations through the object that they create. So this involvement in the production of a work, I think, becomes more valuable to collectors who are interested in that intellectual pursuit.
I fully understand. I mean, if I had the chance, that would be my first pick, to be able to act like this. But for example, also in the last, through the years, you have seen other ways of promoting and giving visibility to the works, most of them through the net, no? First there were the distributors, now there are several platforms on demand, and we should be open to have other ways to see the pieces, probably, and to distribute the pieces, and we should be kind of open to it if we want to have the maximum audience for the artists. Then, Marek, you as a collector, how do you see this? I'm a little bit in this moment would like to speak more about not as a personal point of view, but maybe also from a personal point of view, because when we talk about involvement from a collector's side in the production process and so on, we are speaking about a very intimate one-to-one communication. But I'm as a representative of a big company that's storing data about historical data. I think more about the whole market as a whole, right? And see what happens to the sense of ownership. And not everybody will be or want to be involved in the creation of an artwork. Somebody maybe wants to consume it. And in preparation of this discussion, we spoke about this model of this car rental model from Sixth Drive Now, where you receive the ownership of a car for a certain period of time, and you just go with your smartphone and open the car and drive it. And I think the same applies to artistic creativity. You might want to consume a certain artistic creativity shared with your friends, and you get the right to consume this for a certain period of time. And others maybe want to involve more deeply, and they want to be involved in the production process of the car, as this model is. So I think we need to have a more widespread sense for dealing with art in terms of what is the influx of money, how is this paid, what are the concerns for the people who pay when one person is putting a huge stake into it, or an institution, or if one of us casual
consumers just want to have a few minutes of enjoyment, right? And these things have been sorted in the past, in my point of view, with in the world of the paintings, with the original paintings, the oil painting, and with the limited edition print from the same artist. So the people who do not want to be involved, like financially within the millions, they bought a print with a certain number of prints. And I think we have to find something like that. And you, Basim, told us to that this thing also, that you put your videos on the internet, and some institutions don't like it. Maybe you tell us a little bit about this, because this is two-way, right? There's this high level we speak about, this very high level, and there's this consumer level, and we have to find a solution for both. I think this is what I would like to contribute.
No, actually, it wasn't institutions. I never had any problems with institutions or with collectors. Both groups have always been understanding of the fact that my work is online on my website. It was mainly from a few film festivals, because I show my films in three different kind of places to three different audiences, in an art situation, so a museum or a gallery or an art space, and in film festivals. But also it's very important for me, and this was like something that I had very strong opinions about since the first day I made my website, was that my films have got to be available online for people to watch them. It's not the same quality that you would watch in a movie theater, it's not the same quality in an artist space, but they have to be there. Because it's also very difficult for me to kind of absorb this idea that I'm making this work and eventually only a small group of people that goes to an art event or that goes to a film festival will have access to it. When to make this film, the first thing I would do is do research on the internet. Like, I use the internet every day. Why not also like take it back to the internet and have access to the infinite number of people who may not be in the right place to see it where it's showing, or may not even be interested, but somehow would stumble upon it and it would say something to them, or not, but just the possibility is actually really interesting. And it's, this was all theoretical in my head, but then at some point, one of my films became really popular on Tumblr, where mainly groups of people between 16 and 26 years old have been reblogging stills from that film constantly for the last year, until it passed over 500,000 reblogs. And to me, this is an incredible moment, because I feel like, first of all, this is an age group that I never would have even dreamed to reach, but also I don't know where they are. I mean, they're all over the world. It's an amazing thing to have people, as an artist, to have that many people of that age group see your work. And somehow, I mean, sometimes I actually get emails from people that, like high school students or college students, who tell me that they watch my film and that they like it. So there's also this, and also it's kind of difficult to ignore the idea of the internet in 2016, when every day millions of images and videos are being shared for free, and pretend that, whatever we do is going to become the way the world's going to go, when the world's actually going in a different direction. It would be great to find a way to sustain the practice of collecting and producing art that is shown in art context, but also to connect that to the times we live in.
Wonderful. You want to say something? Or shall we? We should open up. We have some people here, and I think would be interesting, if is there any question, to have the possibility to get the answer.
If people are still thinking, then I'm going to respond. And I completely agree. I mean, this is the advantage of the medium, that it can be, it's not physically restricted to be in one place, like a painting or a sculpture. We did an exhibition where the work involved a live streaming. It was a work by Jennifer and Kevin McCoy, And the same exhibition was happening in New York and in Istanbul at the same time. The same work was being shown. And again, I mean, this only can be done with digital. So let's try to leverage that advantage rather than make it into a disadvantage for the medium that collectors shy away. But it is true that we have to place it into a construct that is also appealing for people who are investing, in quotes, into this medium, and meet their expectations because they are used to the model of acquiring sculpture and painting. If the investment value of a video would be somehow less than a painting or sculpture, that may create a disruption in the market in terms of the artists who are interested in this medium. And maybe the question is, sorry, last point is that we have to think whether the old collecting model is the right model, or we should explore other possibilities.
Yeah, but I would like to ask the audience if they would be willing to pay for download an art video, a small amount like what the iTunes platform did with songs, like 99 cents for a song. Would anybody here pay for a video to consume this? This would be interesting for me. You would do this, right? Or would you rather download it from the net only if it's free and watch it? I mean, I think this is also a question that should be raised when we speak about...
Or just watch it. You don't have to download it. You can just watch it. Because the internet is available all the time. Again, the idea of downloading assumes...
Yeah, but when you stream, you download it somehow, because your computer has to process the image, so of course you...
No, but I mean, it's not saved on your computer. Saved. You don't own it. You don't own a copy of it. But you have access to it, which is a complete... It's exactly the same kind of access as going to an exhibition space and seeing the work.
Yeah, but I'm interested in how a future market would look like, right? We have the producer who puts in money to build the film, and then you build the film, you design it, producers put it online, and is there then some revenue stream? Will this a revenue stream by festivals, entry, what people pay? Will this be shared? How could this look like?
For me, the good news about what we're talking...
What?
For me, the good news of what you're presenting and what we are talking is that we are discussing on what we should be discussing. You know what I mean? I mean, we finally passed the old model of multiple and lithographs market, and we need to sit down and go, maybe not through a contract, we should go through a protocol, something very simple, and say who is doing what, who's getting what, who's offering what. And this is open, a new reality that it's completely new for all of us, which is nice. I mean, I think it's, at least we will feel confident on whatever we do. We probably will make mistakes. We will learn from the mistakes. But at the moment, I think we came to an agreement with the different agents, platforms, collectors, artists, distributors, everyone is focused on we need to change something. Something needs to be changed. I mean, it's obvious that you cannot fight against the reality of internet. It's only a few years ago that people were holding the tapes and not lending the tapes and making you sign a huge contract that you were not going to copy the tape. I mean, come on. I mean, it's a new system. It's a new reality, I would say. So that's for me very interesting from your point of view as ArtFacts, that you get all this data. I think you should somehow, what is going to happen as well with the artist and the way you evaluate the artist once the video artists are having this possibility of being exhibiting somewhere at the same time, even the same piece at the same time, is getting such an advantage to the rest of the artists in your own platform that at the same time probably we will have to make some sort of...
Of course, but the traditional art market is changing, right? Even if we see Art Basel preserving, as we all think it is, the old model of buying artworks, we shift to the model of buying ideas, and digital copies are bodiless, right? This is, and we have here the artist who says he wants his work to be seen, and I always said art history is exhibition history. I think you said the same thing. And maybe art history will be screening history. We don't know this, and we will have to reflect on this. And we are in flux, like everybody of us, and seeing in what way, how will the exhibition as itself evolve, in what kind of form, presence, right? We don't know that. Yes, it's this point.
I have a question.
I have one question.
Yeah, here. I would like to respond to from where this debate suddenly took on regarding the putting the videos online and getting it downloaded for a small amount of price, which you asked. Interestingly, this idea has been going on for ages, and there are enough sites just like iTunes which are allowing videos to download. However, these are not usually art videos. This is the regular films which are being downloaded and played. So when we put this idea here on an art platform, and it's a very interesting idea what you put it, then my question which comes in is that what is the difference then between art or art video versus cinema? And I have no problems if they are both equated. I have nothing, in fact, because I personally believe that that's how ultimately it would go. And as Basim was saying, which I quite understand, that as an artist or a filmmaker, a person would want the work to reach out to people, whether for a small price or for free. Whatever. For the artist it is, I have made it, it should go out. It is for the others to think what should be that model of revenue, whether there should be a model of revenue or not, whether the premium should be put on that or not, whether an artwork should be celebrated as an art object kept in a safe vault, or should it be allowed to be out in the public? And that, I think, would be the key question. Thank you.
I think a lot of the interesting works are being produced in the borderline of video art and film or feature film, the way we know it. There doesn't need to be a difference, but at the moment the difference is the way they are financed. My only concern about going to a mass market to finance art is that you have to basically appeal to the mass preferences, and typically art doesn't do that. In 20 years, they will appeal to...
Basim does it. 700,000.
No. I actually agree. I agree. I don't think art
fantastic.
has this amount of approach. Like, you can't reach a mainstream public with art. It's not possible yet. So
it's risky to rely on that.
We've been kindly asked to sum up. I think we have a lot of questions. I hope we answered at least some of it, but we opened many of them as well. And I think we all agree that this is an ongoing discussion. I want to thank the three of you for being here today and enlighten us with all your experience. And thanks for the audience, and hope to see you very soon. Thank you.
thank you.